Hey everyone, Sammy here, your host of the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. And we are talking today about relationship marketing. And I know at times it can feel like a big struggle to build relationships, grow relationships when you're doing most of your work online, when your team isn't even all in the same place, and still trying to have that level of service, that level of compassion, that level of care, that level of all the things as you're working inside of your nonprofit and organization. And so that's what we are talking about today. And I have a great conversation with Annalise Warren all about this. So Annalise is a CEO, business strategist, marketing mentor, speaker, and mother of 3 little ones. Annalise found herself getting asked for business and marketing advice from women who wanted more freedom in business and life, but didn't know how to translate that into a viable business model and take it to the world. Determined to provide a way for small business owners to get affordable access to expert marketers, she founded the Marketing Mentor Program in 2019. CEO of a highly successful marketing agency with a background in leadership and well-being, Annalise has a unique spectrum of experience that informs and filters through her work with clients. Annalise supports women to transform their business to discover the profit and freedom they started it to achieve. Her true passion lies in developing and implementing efficient, effective, high-converting marketing strategies that actually move the needle. A featured expert across multiple forms of media and events, both in Australia and internationally, Annalise shares her insight via live weekly video show, The Social Marketing Method, as well as on the Mom Style Business Podcast. A key thread throughout all her work is the focus on creating a joy-filled, impactful, driven, and sustainable business that supports and flows with family life. We talk so much about why relationships are so important and how they can be impactful at all of the different phases of a donor journey. So I really think that you'll enjoy this episode and just at least have it be a good reminder of how to treat people and how treating people well and building one-on-one experiences can help grow your fundraising in your organization. But before we get to it, this episode is brought to you by our digital marketing therapy sessions. These are 30-minute sessions you can book with me to be able to talk about all the things or anything that you have going on in your nonprofit or organization that you would like some support with. This could be figuring out how to map out your customer journey, how to help build better relationships with your organizations, how to understand how to create DMs and video messages in Instagram and Facebook. Whatever it is, these digital marketing therapy sessions are here to support you. So head on over to thefirstclick.net/office hours and book your session now. What are you waiting for? Let's get into the episode. You're listening to the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Bedell Mulhern, and each week I bring you tips from myself and other experts, as well as hot seats with small business owners and entrepreneurs to demystify digital marketing and get you on your way to generating more leads and growing your business. Please join me in welcoming Annalise Warren to the podcast. Annalise, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I am excited to talk about relationship marketing. I know there's a lot of buzzwords in marketing, but I do think, relationships are a thing that are kind of hard to maybe figure out how to navigate in the social space. And so why are relationships to you, why is that so important?
Well, people buy from people, but you're right. It is one of those strange terms that is thrown out there, relationship marketing, when really marketing is communication and we should be talking to people. So there is an argument for the fact that all marketing should be relationship marketing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think sometimes people get hidden behind, I'm not actually talking to you face to face. I'm talking to you through a computer and I don't know who's actually reading it. So the relationship piece kind of feels lost. So how do you, why is that something that has gravitated to you? Why do you feel like that's really an important thing that people should be paying attention to?
Yeah. So I own a marketing agency, but I also mentor small business owners who want to do it themselves. And what I typically find is that they're small business owners with services or products that they absolutely love, which is fantastic. But it means that in their content, in their marketing, they're talking all about themselves, and they're just ringing the bell because they're thinking that that's what they need to do, and they have such a great product or service that, of course, if they tell people about it, then they'll get sales. And then they very quickly find that that is not the case, because we love to buy, but we don't like to be sold to. We don't like to just be seeing like, oh, you have this offer, fantastic, like how does that relate to me, and so I really started talking more about relationship marketing with them, and in relation to thinking about the buyer journey and how do we actually cultivate these long-term relationships with people so that we continue to have them as customers or clients or donors for the long term, which is what we want, because it's a lot easier to continue to nurture and go back to that pool of people than it is to start from scratch every single time.
Right. Yeah. It's so much cheaper to find or to keep your existing customers than to find new ones too. So I guess relationship marketing is different at different stages of, like you said, the buyer journey or the donor journey, right? Like how you kind of nurture the first time buyer versus how you kind of nurture the long time buyer and encourage them to be then vocal advocates and help you acquire new customers, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad you closed the loop there, because a lot of people forget about that, referral advocacy component. So yes, first we need to make them aware of us. So maybe I'll quickly run through that in terms of what we can be doing with content. So at the start, when people need to become aware of you, and then from awareness, they need to be interested in what you actually have to say, and they have to be, they have to want to be involved. Then they need to actually take action, and then we need to close the loop with that referral advocacy component. And the awareness side of things with our content, to build that relationship, we can't be talking about what we want or what our product or service or solution is, or we can't be talking about us. In that awareness phase, we need to be connecting with something in them. So normally if you've got a product or a service, that will be connecting with that problem that they have and the outcome that they want. And so in terms of when we're speaking about donors, what we need to be doing is appealing to something that they feel strongly about in that awareness phase, so that their attention is turned to us. So sorry, I'll stop there.
No, you're fine. Don't you feel like that's a big mistake that people make on social media? Is it's like, buy my product, donate to my organization. And they're not spending enough time kind of sharing content on their channels that's just explaining why they should even care about the problem that they're solving. Yeah. Like if you're a nonprofit that's helping with global warming, people need to understand why they should even care about that before they're going to give you money to help fix that problem.
Exactly. And yes, that is the number one problem I see, that people just talk all about what they need or what they want or what they want people to do. And they don't bring them into their ecosystem before they ask for something. And that's why the relationship piece is key, because once they're in, then they're in, and not everyone is going to care about your thing. I mean, they might care, but not everyone is going to. We can't give to every possible cause, even though we might like to. So generally, we're going to pick and choose, a couple to focus on. And so we need to be figuring out who it is that is going to be most, like, who is the ideal person, who's the ideal donor, what are their characteristics, and where are they online, what else do they care about, and then start there and start talking about why it is, you're exactly right, why it is that they should care, why it is that they should delve deeper and become part of your community.
And so what other pieces at this phase kind of build into that relationship piece? Like obviously it's, being responsive, having great customer service, answering questions as they come through, creating engaging content. But what else might there be at this phase that's super important to start to build that trust?
Yeah, so I would even go so far as actually connecting with people. So we can go out and physically find them online and be speaking with them. So you can go to Instagram, for example. If that's your platform, you can go to Instagram and you can, again, going back to who are these people and where are they and who else are they following, what else are they interested in, and be connecting with people and engaging with people online. And then when they come over, because if you're engaging online, then your profile is going to come up, your name's going to come up, and so then if they come on over to your profile and they follow you, as soon as they follow you, as soon as they connect with you in any way, send them a message and actually DM them, and start that conversation. So, we've just released this podcast, we've just written this article. We thought, you might find it interesting, and maintain that. And every time you produce a new piece of valuable content, a video or something like that, send a link to your followers. And not a lot of people do this because, yes, it takes time, but those people are following you for a reason. We're not going to go out and stalk people and just send these messages to random to whoever we can find on the internet. These are people that actually follow you, and you can increase that following in, through advertising. You can increase that following through actually physically connecting. And that's where the relationship part comes in, because you're sending them things that they legitimately will find valuable, and cultivating that relationship. And you can have a conversation going, what did you think about that? Do you have any ideas? Just be a good person and chat.
Right. I love, just with the new updates on all the platforms, being able to kind of do voice messaging and direct message. Cause I know I hate typing. Like the thing about Instagram that drives me nuts is I hate using my phone for that. But, you can very quickly send a quick message to people that have followed you, a voice message, and just say, hey, Jane, thank you so much for following us. Here's a couple things that you might not know about. And then, the cause that you're doing, and just leave it at that. But how important do you feel if somebody took time out to send a quick voice message to you?
Yeah, it's that's perfect. I mean, we have a standard message that we send, and so we can have an admin person do that for us. But you're right. Yeah, voice message is great, and it really does add that personal component. It's not a robot. It's not
right.
It's thought about. That it's authentic, which is, again, people buy from people, and people connect with people. And if they can hear your voice, then amazing, because your enthusiasm in your voice is going to be contagious. And they're going to feel like, imagine you follow someone on Instagram versus you follow someone on Instagram, you get sent a link, you get a voice message, they send you something another couple of weeks later. Like the way that you feel about those two things is totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So once somebody has become a donor or has purchased from you, kind of then what's that next step? Like, how do you continue to build that relationship and grow from there?
Yeah. So hopefully by then you've moved to email.
Yeah.
So that's, I think in between there, generally you're going to move them to email, or they're going to, as they donate, provide their email address, and then you can keep them connected. And then making sure that in that content that you are sending your donors, that it is really linked to stories of the real people that you are helping, or the real impact that you are making. Because that is, again, we're humans, and we are empathetic towards towards other people. So we want to hear those stories of other people or animals or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really want to hear those stories, because if we're just sending an email out asking for things all the time or going, this is the latest campaign, well, that gets old pretty quickly.
I agree. Yes. Well, and I think I hear all the time from clients, well, I don't need to create regular content. I don't need to send out regular emails. Like, we don't have the time for that. But I feel like, and I think you'd probably agree, that the more regularly you send emails out that are just awareness driven, then when you send out those emails that are asking for the purchase or asking for the donation, you're probably going to get a bigger percentage of people that will give or buy because they've already gotten the value over the course of, the week. So like it pays out at the end.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to write some, 2,000 page article and have, 27 photos. You can just have one snapshot with a happy person and a quote and a bit of, a paragraph or two. Like, people don't have time for lengthy, you don't need to produce a half an hour video, or like, there's a time and a place for all of that. But just in your normal social media, your email communications, just make the time and do it in bulk. Like, have someone get an intern, something to create just short snippets of content that keeps people connected to the why, because otherwise we're going to lose them. There's too many, our attention is, pulled in 5,000 different directions. And so we need to just be giving them things that make them feel good. It could be a quote, it could be a photograph, it can be an article that's not even yours that has, is about the issue that this is why we do what we do. And then here's the article link. Like, it doesn't have to be incredibly produced, lengthy content all the time.
Well, and the other opposite to that, I would say, is you could even do a super lengthy piece of content once a month and then still pull snippets out of it over the course of the month to share with your audience. So you're still sending them back to the same blog post, for example, right? Like, don't, share it over and over and over again.
Totally. Yes. No, definitely do that. 100% do that, because that is going to mean that, not everyone's going to see your content, for starters. Your open rates, I don't know, probably between 20 and 40%, most people, for the email. So not everyone's reading that. The organic reach for your social media content's going to be about, 10%. And so if you are talking about that same thing all month, that's fine, because it's going to take us a while to, potentially have the time to go and read the article. We might need to see the reminder a couple of times. And if we care about it, then we're going to be totally on board with spending that message and spreading that message. It's not going to be something that is annoying or repetitive or, So yeah, definitely break that up. And if you have a blog post, have 3 points in it and be distributing those, and make sure that you distribute it in as many platforms as you can, because every single time you hit publish on some piece of content, that's another line in the water. It's another way for someone to discover you. And so don't feel like you can't put the same content on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and whatever your platforms are. You totally can. And again, if people see it in one of those places they see something more than once and they're on board with that, like obviously they're following you in those places, then they're not going to care, because they will assume, of course, you have put it in all of the places that your followers and audience are, because you should be spreading that message, because they think that you should be. So it's not annoying. It's not, it's not repetitive. You can totally repurpose. And it really does help to streamline the whole thing. You don't have to come up with a new idea every week. Okay, this week we're talking all about this, or this month we're talking all about this issue, and we're going to do it in these different ways. We're going to do it with these different, mediums and media, and that's how you can establish a really efficient marketing campaign.
Well, and you might hear numbers like 10% of people are getting your social media posts, and 20% or so are opening your emails and feel discouraged. But it's just another reason why it's important to share things more than once. And it's also a great time saver then, because you're sharing things more than once. You don't have to create new content all the time, and
exactly.
You're getting
it is a little bit disappointing, isn't it? But if you don't share it, no one's going to see it, and you're not going to be making any sort of impact. And the people that like and follow and engage with your content, then they are going to see it. And the more engaging you make that content, the more people are going to engage. And then the more Instagram, the more likes you get, all of that, the more they're going to show it to people. So think about how to make your content shareable or savable. Think about the ways that you can really provide value so that people do save that for later. It's 3 steps to this, or 3 easy ways, or, this is a feel good something. Obviously come up with things that are relevant, but be creative and have fun with it. It's not just about posting for the sake of posting. Mm-hmm. You post things that are going to make people feel good and bring them closer into being more connected with why you do what you do.
Well, and so that kind of brings us to kind of what you said, closing the loop earlier on, then going from, okay, I'm a donor and I'm a regular donor, to now I'm an advocate and willing to share, spread, and, magnify your message.
Yeah. And we love being connected to a cause, or we love being connected to like a community and being part of a special group. And so I think if we can cultivate that within, if we have, you have to find better language around that than sprung to mind, which was like inner circle. But what I mean? Like founding members, or like, come up with some language around the fact that you've got these special people, the ones that are connected, the ones that donate every time, the ones that show up, and make them feel special, really appreciate them and tell them that. And find a way to make it a bit more of a exclusive kind of, we like to feel good. We like to feel, special. We like to feel like we've sort of, have that ego boost. And so something like that even though it's cultivated, it's still legitimate. And then give them special benefits and give them a reason to share that message. And right now, with where we find ourselves in the world in the middle of this pandemic, user generated content is how we're getting a lot of our content in marketing. And so you can do things like competitions. You can do things like, reposting their posts or sharing their own stories. And again, how can you make your donors feel special and special enough that they want to share that? Or what incentive can you give them so that they share that message or what they're doing with their audience? Because if you have 100 great donors, even if you have 10 great donors, then each of those, how many people do they have how many Facebook friends do they have? And then your message is going to be spread a lot quicker. Also, because if as a business profile, 10% of people are going to see your content. As a personal profile, a lot more than that are going to see the content.
Yeah. And I think the important thing you're bringing up here too is that we have to ask for what we want. Yes, some people will share just out of the goodness of their own heart and their passion for your organization. But if you don't explicitly say like, hey, we appreciate everything you've done, would you please help us by amplifying this? If you don't give them specifics, they're not necessarily going to do it just on their own.
Yeah. That we don't think like that. And I think sometimes we do when we're really invested in it, but really most of us are quite passive online. naturally. Most of us would rather, we're the voyeurs. We just scroll
Right.
rather than like and comment. And I know that's not the case for everyone, but it's more effort to be liking and following and creating a post. Like you said, you don't want to use your phone for typing. Like it's harder.
Right.
And it really does require that effort. And then we've got to think, what are people going to think of us? And what are, it's all of that. How is this going to be? People get, very caught up again. We're ego driven people. That's what we are. And so, yeah, some sort of incentive, like definitely ask them and then give them some reason to do so, because you're giving away this, or because they're going into the draw to, or not, to either to win something or to be chosen for a special feature or to, be VIP in the next event, or like whatever it is, give them some sort of reason to do it, and they will spread it further.
Well, and I think we've seen that in some run walks, right? Like they're still doing a 5K on their own and raising money for an organization and kind of collecting donors. So, kind of encouraging people to use relationships that they have and build those relationships in kind of a fun, like support me individually as I'm raising money for this organization that I care about, right? So that could be really amazing and impactful. And then I think, I guess for me, it's just really remembering that even though we're in a digital space, there are still, like you said, lots of ways to make people feel special. So do you have any other awesome examples or things that you've seen about ways, and it doesn't have to be in the nonprofit space, but just ways that people or companies have kind of used even digital strategies just to make an impact and kind of have that personal connection?
Yeah, I'd also say that on the other end of it, I mean, yes, you're connecting with donors and using relationship marketing to do that, but you can also use social media to build relationships strategically with partners and to do collaborations, or to do, whatever it is that you want to do. So you can create those relationships with people or businesses that can help you spread that message. So, if you need an event space, then you can be, cultivating those relationships. You can be cultivating relationships with heads of schools and that kind of thing. And so more those professional relationships can really be cultivated really, really well on social media. And it's the same premise, where that awareness phase is, what do they care about? What makes them feel good? What do they need in terms of for them personally and professionally? Like, are they a business that needs a cause? Are they a school that needs a program? Is it another nonprofit or a community house that needs, a partner? Or, just think outside the square about who you can connect with, and use LinkedIn or use Instagram to start that, because it's never been easier to speak to people on the other side of the world. Even, like, for example, right now I'm in Australia. We're connecting from other sides of the globe, and it's not difficult. It doesn't cost anything except for time to start exploring those relationships. And yes, not everyone is going to get back to you, but thinking about those ways where you can communicate not to donors but kind of sidewards and build that, because those collaborations are going to be they're really powerful. It's a way to reach another audience, and for the trust of that business or that person to be transferred to you, the trust that they have from their audience is now on you. And so, yeah, I think that is often missed as well, about thinking about how you can use relationship marketing in that capacity.
Yeah, I love collaboration. I think it's so important. And I think as funds get tighter in giving and in foundations and all of that, grants, whatever, collaborations become even more and more important. And, those relationships that you build with different people in different organizations, you never know what those are going to turn into and what additional people they're going to be able to bring to the table.
Yeah, exactly. And think long term, when we're going into this relationship building, especially with that, partnership collaboration mentality, it may not come to pass now, but just those connections can be long reaching. Like, for example, we just got a client from someone who I started a relationship with online 2.5 years ago that we've just been touching base every few months. And now, and so you do need to think long term as well, and think strategically, but then just be a nice person.
Yeah.
But just do it more than feels natural, because like I said, a lot of us don't use social media in this way, and we feel like it's just this chore, this thing that we have to do. But do have a system, and then just work the system and find efficient ways to do that.
Yeah. So, it could be just, you have on your schedule, whoever on your team is responsible for social media, for example, spends 30 minutes every morning and just gets through whatever they can get through from private messaging or DMing or voice messaging and things like that. You just get through what you can get through in that 30 minutes every day. And no, you maybe won't hit everybody, but something is better than nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. And just put it in this, make the time for it.
So, okay. So I just wanted to see if we missed anything. So we talked through brand awareness. We talked through, kind of the stage when they're already donors, kind of creating advocates. Is there anything else outside of, building those relationships on social media and encouraging conversations? Anything else that you would, suggest that people put in their toolbox?
I think we covered. I think if you do that really well, and then if as you are, and document the results if you can, because for us, so we say, okay, we connected with 100 people this day, and we did 100 of whatever, we document it. And then see the results. How is the followers changing? How's your engagement rate changing? And then make sure that you're, if you can, analyze that and see what people are really connecting with, so that you can make it even better. You can really make sure that you're giving people what they want, and ask them. And I think that's the key. Is I think that people think that social media is just like a platform, like a billboard, and it's so not. It's called social media, and we need to be social. And I think that it is really as simple as that, is just connecting person to person, remembering that every account, there's a human being on the other side of that has needs and feelings and fears and things that they care about, and to just connect as one human to one human. And the power of that and moving people into action is multiplied. It's like that drop of water in the bucket, that once we harness the power of people, like the work is done for us, but we need to figure out what it is that they care about and what's going to spur that on. And we're not going to find that out unless we talk with people, unless we have those conversations, and really dig in deep about what it is that is going to be the thing that moves people to do something about it, not just care about it.
Yeah. I love just being the reminder of being social on social, like that alone. Like we forget about that.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot of people do. And it's never going to be perfect all the time. Of course, we're going to be good at it some months. And exactly. ebb and flow all the time. But coming back to that basic concept, and coming back to that buyer journey, and thinking, okay, awareness, I'm going to be talking about them, why they should care. In that middle section, consideration, I'm going to be talking more about us and why we do what we do and how we do what we do and why we're different, and kind of like, you know, the 10 commandments of our organization.
Mm-hmm.
And then be having that call to action. And it's okay to have that call to action regularly, because like you said, they don't know what to do if we don't tell them. Like, it's okay to like a post, but what's actually, once they care, how can they make one small step? And getting people to start small on social media with little things that you ask for, you know, share this post, connect over here, you know, read this thing, whatever it is, then it will start some momentum, and then we can move them in closer. And okay, now you're on the email list, now you're a donor, now you're, you know, starting your own events, now you're, you know, and making it easy for people, being really creative about how you can make it easy for people to make the biggest impact.
Well, and so the last thing I kind of want to touch on is when you're really trying to set up and create that impact with people, like we tend to, like, you know, the old saying is like, it takes 7 times for people to see you before they even remember you and are ready to take action. And I think now I've even heard, like, in the online space, like, it almost takes 14 to 20 times for somebody to see you before they're willing to kind of take that step. So I'm just curious your thoughts on that, because I think people get discouraged. And, you know, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier about sharing your content multiple times, but I think people get discouraged with this, especially with social media, but they, you know, just need to kind of keep powering through, right?
Yeah, you do. And yeah, the latest stats I heard was like 16 touches for a buying decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, if you look at the stats, it's crazy. Like when we're running Facebook ads, we're happy with the 1% click-through rate.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
So really, really pull I mean, we're dealing with the general public here. You've got to remember, social media, we're dealing with the general public. Not everyone is going to care. There's how many billion people in the world, but you don't need everyone. You just need those, you know, I can't remember who said it, but like the 1,000 true fans or whatever it is. And so how can you cultivate those? And yes, come back to the long term. Like, you're not here as this flash in the pan. You're not here as, you know, this, you might have a goal for this year, but you need to think bigger, and you need to think more long term, and you need to think strategically, and just get a plan in place for, you know, a year or for 6 months, and work the plan. Just do the plan, and don't look at the number. Like, don't let the numbers sway the plan. Just commit to what you've said that you're going to do, and do it and outwork it, and then look back on 6 months and go, okay, where were we? Where are we now? What's working? What's not? Where am I going to tweak from here? And then again, keep going with that plan, but don't let, you know, oh, I got 3 likes, or no one showed up to my live, or like, don't even look at that. Think again, why are you doing this? Because the cause is bigger. And if you're thinking about the likes and the engagement on one singular post, you're thinking about the wrong thing. And again, we're voyeurs. We don't we want something from social media.
We want that instant gratification.
Yeah. But even like as a business, as an organization, we want something from social media, and it's even hard for us to get our butt into gear to actually, you know, go be commenting and liking and things. So the people we're talking to, they've got no investment, no reason to be active. Again, you can have people that are watching your things for months or years, and you don't have any idea, and then one day they turn around and they're totally on board because they've been following along. Like, even in my own business, we were doing a 9-day live workshop, and one of the people that ended up becoming a client hadn't commented on anything except for like maybe on the last day, and then connected and purchased. So you don't know. Don't judge the performance based on the numbers. I know that's all you've got, and you have to make decisions based on those in the longer term, but don't let that impact the way that you feel about what you're doing, or don't let that impact the plan in the short term, because it's just not, it's not accurate. And we need to, it's the whole reciprocity thing. We need to put it out there. If we want people to engage, then we need to engage. If we want people to connect, then we need to continue to show up, and we need to be trustworthy. And if if you're going to post every week, every 3 days a week, if you're going to be live once a week, if you're going to send an email once a week, like whatever it is, continue to do that and get people to expect that before you can expect them to want to connect and engage with it.
Well, and I think about too, the people that are in my life that I'm closest with, that I'm, loyal to, no matter what. And that takes time to build. So if you think about it from just a personal, like how you build relationships in your own personal life, it's going to take the same amount of effort, if not more, online, because people, like you said, are bombarded with so many things and have a hard time building trust with companies unless it's more about that building a relationship with common interests, as opposed to what am I going to get out of it?
Yeah, exactly. And just be confident in knowing that if you have valuable content that's not just asking people for things, then that connection will build, and that care factor will build, and then it's like filling up the bucket, right? If you just need to continuously be filling it up. Otherwise, if it's only fits and spurts every now and then, it's going to take a really, really, really long time.
Agreed.
And it might dry up.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, continuously filling that up, and being committed to your marketing plan and connecting with people for that long term.
Well, Annalise, I feel like we've given people a lot of things to consider and to take a look at inside of their organization as they start to move through with relationship marketing. If people want to know more about you and kind of how you help people with this topic, how can they learn more about you?
Sure. So I have a Facebook group where I'm live every week. So that's the Social Marketing Method. And I'm on annalisewarren.com. So I'm sure the spelling you'll be able to find on the name of the podcast.
Yes.
Also, I'm starting a podcast next year called Impact Business, and it's going to be about people who are starting businesses to make a difference, or if you're using your nonprofit to working business principles into that. So if anyone wants to touch base in regards to that, I would love to hear from them.
Awesome. And we will link all of this stuff up in the show notes at thefirstclick.net/podcast. So you can absolutely check out all of those links. But thank you so much, Annalise. This was a great conversation, and I think just a great reminder for people to not be discouraged by the distance in being mostly digital, and that relationships and strong relationships can still be built with customers.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
I want to say another thank you to Annalise Warren for joining me on this episode. I hope that you got some great nuggets from it. It was some great reminders for me on, how I'm showing up on social media and what I'm doing to engage with my followers and new followers. But for now, I hope you'll subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss an episode, and make sure you head on over to thefirstclick.net/podcast to check up on the show notes from this episode and all the other episodes that you may have missed. I'll see you in the next one.